When you're writing, there are two types of voices that you can have. There is the active voice and the passive voice. When you write, you always want to try to stay in the active voice. The active voice means that the subject does the action. For example, I hit the ball. The subject I is doing something, hit. Whereas the passive voice means the action happens to the subject. So in the ball was hit by me, the subject of the sentence is ball, and the action that happens to the ball is was hit. You always want to make sure that you keep your voice consistent. There is something called a voice shift. That means that you move from the active voice to the passive voice within the same sentence. So a voice shift would sound like, he made plans with some friends to go to the beach, and then he was asked by his boss to report to work. If you'll notice, the verbs made and was asked are both in a different color. The made is an active voice because it is what the subject he did. But the verb was asked is in an orangish brown, and it is showing that the subject, he, has something happening to him. He doesn't, it's not he is doing something, something is happening to him. So we don't want to do that. We want to make sure that our voice is in the active voice. So we would change the sentence to, he made plans with some friends to go to the beach, and then his boss asked him to report to work. So if you'll notice that boss is doing something instead of something being done. Now, this is something that is difficult to get in the habit of doing unless you're conscious of it. So we're just going to practice it. You probably will not have a lot of practice with it, or you will not be very conscious that you're doing it, and it's not something that we're going to spend a lot of time on, but I just want you to know the difference between active and passive voice, and to know that you want to always write in the active voice. You always want your subject doing something. So there is one practice, and you are going to want to rewrite the sentences to make the voice consistent. My tip for these is that you will want to find the subject and then see if the verb is happening to the subject or if the verb is being done by the subject. So for example, when the family took their vacation to Israel, their dreams were fulfilled. Another hint I have is that if you're in the passive voice, you normally have the helping verbs were and was. So if you look in the example, I see the verbs were fulfilled. So I know that's in the passive because it has the were. So I need to change the sentence completely to make the family do the action. Okay? So I would change it to the family fulfilled their dreams when they took their trip to Israel. So with these practice sentences, you want to find the verbs and see if the verb is being done by the subject or if it is happening to something. So let's do number 1 together. It says, after I finished ironing the last blouse, I was given 2 more wrinkled shirts by my sister. Okay, a hint that I see is that there is the word was. So I should know that when I see that word, it is written in the passive voice. So I need to turn the sentence around to make the subject actually do the verb. So I would change it to, my sister gave me 2 more wrinkled shirts after I finished ironing the last blouse. So you can do 2, 3, 4, and 5 and see how you do with those.